Robert Parsons, many thanks for that live update. We're going to stay in Tel Aviv and speak with pollster and political analyst Mitchell Barak. Thank you for being with us here on France 24.
Thank you for having me. I am in Jerusalem, though.
Jerusalem. My apologies. Thanks for clarifying that. Mitchell, is Israel's foreign minister right? Can Israel go it alone without the United States?
That's a very bold statement, and I think it's very optimistic. I think one thing that we've learned in this since October 7th is how humbling this is and how we need support of other countries, especially the United States, especially President Biden, who personally came here, who has every bit of political capital invested in this, the aid that we've been getting, the weapon systems that we need, and the full support of the American administration. And it's become a bipartisan issue in Congress that they believe the United States, as well as France and many other countries, UK and Germany, we've got to get rid of the Hamas, meaning it's a terror organization. They cannot rule, they cannot, threaten Israel, and they're threatening their own people and using them as human shields. So everyone agrees that Hamas has to be finished. The question is how best to do it. And of course, we've got to get our hostages back. We have over 100 hostages still there.
Now, let's go over the timeline of the last 24 hours because Benjamin Netanyahu makes this video address in Hebrew where he is talking about what Antony Blinken has repeatedly called the day after, once the fighting ceases, saying no way we're going to a two-state solution, talking about there'll be no Hamas stand or Fatah stand, I think were his exact words. Joe Biden responding in kind, telling a fundraiser in Washington, Israel's got to change its government, and now welcoming the families for the first time to the White House of U.S. citizens who are held hostage in Gaza. What do you make of how fast it seems to be coming to a head, let's say?
Well, it's coming to a head because the truth is, what we've been saying for a long time is Netanyahu doesn't really have a plan for the day after. It's debatable what his plan is now with the war and with getting the hostages back. I mean, Israel is certainly fighting very well. It's not an easy battle because we're fighting, terrorists in the ground who use human shields. When it comes to the day after, I mean, we're already getting into the political phase where Netanyahu is playing to the base. And it's not just that he's bilingual, that he speaks Hebrew and English. He's duolingual. He says different things in English to an American and U.S. audience than he says in Hebrew to his base. And that's a problem because really, as we said in the beginning, having the support of the United States is critical here. It's critical in terms of moral support, of political support, of geopolitical support, and of the actual, munitions and things that we're getting. So, to come over on the day after, I mean, this is leading towards a two-state solution or leading towards some other kind of thing. I mean, one thing that this has done is put the Palestinian issue front and center in many, many countries. So Israel is going to, and this is one of the reasons that if Netanyahu doesn't have a plan for the day after and it's becoming a conflict, he's not the right guy for the day after. And Israel is going to have to, make some difficult decisions in order to move forward and still have the support of the world once Israel rids Gaza of Hamas. The problem is that Fatah, although we do have a relationship and a security relationship with Fatah in the West Bank, they're still supporting terror in many ways, including paying terrorists who kill Israeli citizens. So it's a difficult problem, not clear where we're going from here.
Where does public opinion stand on this? Because right now, Netanyahu, the Knesset, there's 120 seats. He's got 64 of them. He has a majority. It's all about shoring up that majority. Can he do it? Can he hang on? Can he serve out his term?
I think to a certain extent, unfortunately, he's hanging on and he's playing coalition politics. The budget that they're trying to pass now is filled with what we call in the U.S. a pork barrel and all sorts of things for interest parties, ultra-Orthodox, the settler movement, things that are not connected to the war right now. And people who are, who have lost their homes, or the 150,000 Israeli refugees within Israeli borders, meaning people from down south, people from up north who can return home, they don't necessarily have the support that they need. So, it's back to playing politics. And again, it's not clear where he's taking this, and he's getting involved in, Israeli public opinion is very much behind defeating Hamas. It's not
But that's because the war.
behind...
But that's because the war is going on right now. It's
Correct.
For you as a pollster. How do you predict, or how do you figure out what Israelis want for afterwards?
Well, it does seem like a very large majority of polls that I've seen, not polls that I've conducted, do not believe that Netanyahu is the right guy even today, but certainly after the war needs to, free up his seat for someone else. But the way Netanyahu is, he's already playing politics. He's already trying to break up Benny Gantz's party, which may leave the government. That's the unity. There's a smaller party that may stay. So he's already playing politics. And now he's angling towards his main message. Looks like it's going to be, I'm the only guy that's going to say no to a Palestinian state. And for those 64 people in government, which are very solid, because none of them have come through, all you need is 5 of them to say, we want a new government, and he's out. But they're not doing that. And the people that elected those 64 people, they don't want a Palestinian state. I mean, in name, everyone agrees, even if there'll be a Palestinian state, it's going to be demilitarized. They're not going to have an army. But even so, people are against it. And that's his main issue right now. And that's why we're hearing some of the things that he's saying at this point, because he's appealing to that base and getting ready for, election politics.
But we saw when Joe Biden visited Israel back in October, there were people quipping that he's more popular than any of the leaders inside of Israel. Is that still true today?
That is 100% true. Not only is he more popular and people really appreciate him putting himself on the line, he's emotionally in this. He's committed to this. And he is the adult in the room. He's the leader that we don't have. He's the person that came after October 7th, the week after, and said, it's going to be okay. And we're going to get through this. You're going to get through this, and I'm going to give you all the help you need, and you're going to rebuild. And even if you saw his Hanukkah message in the White House, was along those lines. He is extremely, extremely popular, as is the U.S. The problem is that the people that are more on the right who fall into Netanyahu's government, believe that Biden and the U.S. administration is holding us back, and that we really need to go in there more full force. And just like, as you quoted the foreign minister, we can do it without him. And there's even people talking about how we have to stay in Gaza long-term for security and even for settlements. That, to me and to many, many Israelis, has got to be one of the craziest notions that's going around. But, he hasn't put a stop to it. Netanyahu hasn't put a stop to the extremists in his government. And it's affecting the relationship with the United States and support for this war.
Mitchell Barak, one quick final question for you. Benjamin Netanyahu, and you worked in a previous life as a consultant for him. A quarter century ago, he's 30 points back in the polls. He campaigns on the issue of no Palestinian state, no to the Oslo Accords, and he beats the odds and wins. Is it the same Benjamin Netanyahu today?
No, because this is the debacle Netanyahu. This is the Netanyahu who lost 1,200 lives. This is the Netanyahu that accidentally went into politics when his brother was killed in the most daring hostage operation in Entebbe, freeing over 100 Israeli hostages. This is the opposite of that. This is the Netanyahu brother that actually let 250 hostages be taken from Israel and has yet to be able to release them all, and possibly unlikely that they'll be released. This is his legacy, and it's a very sad one. And I don't see him being able to rehabilitate that and rehabilitate the distrust of Israelis with their institutions, even the army, which is improving. But in the leadership, the guy that talks security, this is someone who helped fund the Hamas through Qatar, through cash payments, as was detailed by the New York Times, through payments to them because it divided and split up. Gaza belongs to Hamas, West Bank belongs to Fatah. They won't be unified, and Gaza doesn't have the capability to do anything against us. A lot of this is coming out now, And once the war is finished, a lot more is going to come out. And we're seeing that he's going to have to bear some responsibility for it, which he hasn't done.
Mitchell
So I don't
Barak.
see the rehabilitation, but he'll try. But
Mitchell
thank you for
Barak.
having me.
Mitchell Barak, thank you for joining us from Jerusalem.
Thank you so much.